credit for the amount of the check. Now I will move to the investment in receivable. And the investment in account receivable for any firm depend on amount of the credit sales and the average collection periods. And I will talk about the average collection periods in later part. And the average collection period ratio measures the average number of days clients take to pay their bill, which indicating the effectiveness of the business credit and collection policy. And its formula uh, uh, is equal to average daily sale multiplied with the ACP. And I have a small example. Move to the next slide, please. Yeah, as we see here, the ACP, it means average collection period is 30 days, and the sale per day is 1,000. So the account receivable is 30 days multiplied with 1,000, and the account receivable is 30,000. And we will move to the next part with the term of sales.
As the second part is term of sale are made up of three distinct elements: cash period, cash discount, and discount period, and type credit instrument. The basic form of term of sale is 2 divided 10 net 30 and net 60. 2% discount of the invoice price if you pay within 10 days, or a customer choose to pay the full invoice amount in 60 days. If customer paid yearly, the supplier give 2% discount. This benefits both supplier and customer. The customer get a discount and the supplier get paid. For example, a buyer who placed an order for $1,000 with a credit term given above, the buyer will have two options. Option one is pay full, pay $980 in 10 days, or option two is pay the full amount $1,000 in 60 days. The credit period. The basic length of time for quick credit periods, it ranges for almost always 30 to 120 days. If a cash discount is offered, then the credit card has two components. The next credit period is the length of time the customer has to pay, and the cash discount period is the time during the discount is available. For example, with the term of sale is 2 divided 10 net 30. The net credit period is 30 days and the cash discount is 10 days. The invoice date. Invoice date is the beginning of the credit period. The invoice date usually is a shipping date or billing date, not a date which buyer receive the good or bill. But besides this, the credit term of sale is also sometimes it's receive a good ROG or end of month EOM or seasonal dating. ROG is the credit period starts when the customer receives the order. Usually customer is a remote location. EOM is end of month. This term will useful when the buyer make purchase throughout month, but the seller bill only once a month. Seasonal dating will encourage sale of seasonal products during off-season. The next is length of the credit period. The first is perishability and collateral value. Perishable item will relatively rapid turnover and relatively slow collateral value. Credit periods are thus shorter for cycles. For example, a food wholesaler will selling fresh food and produce may next 7 days. Alternatively, jewelry will be sold for 5 divided 30 net for month. To its consumer demand. Products that are well established generally have more rapid turnover. Newly or slow moving products will often have longer credit period associated with them to anticipate. Also, as we have seen, seller may choose to extend much longer credit period for off-season sale when customer demand is low. Cost profitability and standardization. Relatively inexpensive goods tend to have shorter credit period. The same is true for relatively standardized goods and raw material. They all tend to lower markup and higher turnover rate. Both of which lead to shorter credit periods. However, there is exception. Auto dealer, for example, generally buy a car as they are received for its credit risk. The greater the credit risk a buyer, the shorter the credit period is likely to be. If credit is granted at all, 5 size of the account. If an account is small, the credit period may be shorter because small account cost more to manage and the customer are less important. Six is competition. When the seller is a highly competitive market, longer credit periods may offer as the way attracting customers. The last one is customer type. A single seller may offer different credit term to different buyer. A food wholesaler, for example, may supply grocery, bakery, and restaurant. Each group would probably have different credit term. More generally, seller often both wholesale and retail customer, and they frequently quote different terms of two types. The next is card discount and cost of the credit. Is a case we have credit term is 2 divided 10 net 30 and the order is for $1,000. The buyer had two options. Buyer can pay 980 in 10 days or wait 20 days and pay full amount $1,000. Day in periods is 20 days and the periods per year is 80.225. It's obvious that the buyer effectively borrowing 980 for 20 days and that buyer pay $20 in interest or loan. The interest rate in 20 days is $20 divided $980 equal to 0.0408%. It's relatively low, but remember that is the rate per 20-day period, not taking the discount. The buyer is paying an effective annual rate. Short name is EAR. EAR in this case equal 44.59%. From the buyer view, this an expensive short of financing, and so the company benefits when customer choose to forget discount. And we have formula of EAR in the screen. Trade discount. In some circumstances, the discount is not really an incentive for yearly payment, but instead of trade discount, a discount really given to some type of buyer. For example, with 2 divided 10 EOM term, the buyer take a 2% discount if the invoice is paid by the 10th, but the bill is considered due to the 10th and overdue after that. Thus, the credit period and the discount period are typically the same, and there is no reward for paying before the due date. Cash discount and the ICP. Cash discount will promote customer will pay yearly and is shortening the receipt able period. It also shortening ICB, it means annual average collection period. And so it's reduce the firm investment in receivable. And we have the example for in the screen. You can see the example and the answer we attack in the slide. The next is credit instrument. The credit instrument is basic independent of indebtedness. Most credit is offered on open account. The invoice is only credit instrument. Through promissory note, I owe you, it means I own you, that are signed after the delivered goods. Commercial draft call for a customer to pay a specific amount by a specific date. The draft is sent to the customer bank when the customer signs the draft and the goods are sent. For each bank acceptance, allow a bank to substitute its credit worthiness for the customer for free. The last is the conditional sale contract. Let the seller it retain legal ownership for good until the customer has complete payment.
So we move to the analyzing credit policy part. And in this section, I want to analyzing in detail part of credit policy by take a closer look at some components impact to the decision of a company to grant credit. One of the most important item to granting credit is NPV, and in fact, the NPV from accepting credit positive, and the enterprise often accept the credit. And with analyzing credit policy, I want to look to the credit policy effect. In evaluating credit policy, there are 5 basic elements to consider. First of all, is revenue effects. And the firm, then there will be revenue even customer able to the check receivable, so it will become some bad debt. And however, the firm can charge a higher price when grant credit, and it is a way to increase the quantity sold, and as a result, the total revenues will be increased. The second is a cost effect, and also the firm may experience delayed revenues if it grant credit. Follow the matching concept of IFRS, the cost of sale immediately incur by that, and whether the firm sells for cash or credit, it will still have to acquire or produce a merchandise. Third one is the cost of debt, and when the firm grant credit, it must arrange to finance the resulting receivable. As a result, the firm's cost of short-term borrowing is a factor in the decision to grant credit. The probability of non-payment is they will consider it if some percentage of credit buyers will not pay, and if this cannot happen, the firm will decide to sell for cash. And the cash discount, and when the firm give a cash discount to customer, some customer will choose to pay early to take advantage of the discount. So the second part of this analyzing credit policy, I want to mention about the evaluating a proposed credit policy. To evaluating, we will take a look on the real case of Locus software company. In this case, the Locus often currently Locus just sell for cash only, but they want to change their policy to net on month 30 days and by the customer proposal. And to analyze this proposal to whether to decide or not, we will take some the following, like a price per unit, variable cost per unit, current quantity sold per month, and quantity sold under new policy, and the monthly required returns with the number as a follow. With the required return is 2% per month. So should Locus make the switch, and it means that the switch is profitable or not. So we will take some equation. First of all, we calculating the cash flow from old policy. By the formula is $2,900. When change the policy to net on month, so the cash flow right now is 3,190%. So the difference between cash flow from old policy and new policy with incremental cash inflow is $290. So we will discount by like a present value works out to be present value will be $40,500. And we move to the cost of the switch is $5,100. When achieving the cost of the switching, as we see earlier, the benefit is $290 per month with the required return as the estimate. So the NPV right now is $9,400. So as I told in the starting of this part, when the NPV is positive, so the Locus can say that the switch is very profitable. So we will move to the optimal credit policy.
So now we are discussing the optimal credit policy. In principle, the optimal amount of credit or optimal credit policy is determined by the point at which the incremental cash flow from increased sale are exactly equal to the incremental cost of crediting the increase in investment in account receivables. Next, the totals of credit cost curves. Firstly, credit cost. We have already discussed the first and the second of these, and the third cost, the cost of managing credit, consists of the expenses associated with running the credit department. Firms that don't grant credit handle such department and no such expenses. And these three costs will all increase as credit policy is released. Secondly, sources cost or an opportunity cost is loss sales due to restricted credit policy. If a firm has very restrictive credit policy, that's all of the associated costs will be low. In this case, the firm will have a source of credit, so that will be an opportunity cost, and the opportunity cost go down as credit policy is released. And thirdly, total cost curve is sum of credit cost and sources cost. And optimal credit velocity is where the total score is minimized. Next slide. Next slide. As you can see in this slide, we have drawn drawn struck across. That is a point where the total credit cost is minimized. The points correspond to the optimal amount of credit or equivalent, the total amount and the optimal investment in receivables. Next, optimal credit velocity. If the company grants credit above the optimal level or below the optimal level, we have this above content in this slide. And to conclude, the cost and benefits for extending credits we depend on characteristics of the particular firms and industries, and all other things being equal that contribute to a more liberal credit policies, exist capacities, low available operating costs, and repeat customer will extend credit more liberally that as firm. Next slide. About organizing the credit functions is divided to cases. Firstly, assign the credit function to the third party factoring that has a bad content in this slide. In this case, firm that manage internal credit operation self-insures against default. An alternative is to buy credit insurance to an insurance company, and the insurance company offers coverage up a preset dollar limit of accounts. As you would expect, accounts with a higher credit rating merits higher insurance limits. This type of insurance is particularly important for exporters, and the government insurance is available for certain types of exporter. Secondly, about separating the credit divisions into subsidiary or capital finance companies. A financial company and actually owned by the parent company, hence the credit functions, and is because corrections and financing. Like a firm often extend credit to the capital finance and companies, which is simply a wholly owned subsidiaries that handle the credit function for the parent company. For example, First Motor Credit (FNC) First sells to car dealers, whose in turn sell in customers, and FNC's finance the dealers in inventories of car, and also finance customer who buy the car. So now we move on next part, credit analysis.
Rồi, ok, cái phần này thì không cần phải trình bày đâu, bởi vì những cái này bài tập thì khi mà các bạn ấy làm ấy, thì các bạn ấy sẽ vỡ dần ra. Thế bây giờ mình cũng chưa trình bày ngay. Còn cái này có rồi thì để tham khảo khi mà ví dụ như là làm bài, nếu mà cần thì các bạn ấy có thể refer cái này. Bây giờ chuyển sang cho cô cái phần cuối cùng đi, là phần mấy đứa kéo các cái slide tiếp đi để cô xem nào. Rồi cứ kéo tiếp đi. Rồi. Cô nhắc một chút nhé, cái mà 5 cái C trong cái credit đấy thì mình đọc và mình biết được các cái letters, character hay là collateral capital, thì những cái này nó chỉ xuất hiện ở những cái câu hỏi rất đơn giản thôi, là ví dụ như câu trắc nghiệm các cái tiêu chí nào sau đây được sử dụng để đánh giá credit, thì có thể họ sẽ list 4 cái, xong rồi họ để một cái tên na ná nhưng nó không thuộc những cái này. Vậy thì 5 cái C này thì các bạn học thuộc cho cô, học thuộc cái title với cả cái meaning của từng cái là được. Rồi skip cho cô xem tiếp đi. Rồi mình cứ nữa đi em ạ, bỏ qua cái phần credit evaluation này đi. Mình cứ tiếp đi. Nữa. Rồi cứ tiếp đi. Cái này thì cũng giống cái công thức ngày hôm qua chúng ta học thôi. Rồi nữa đi. Nữa. Rồi chuyển đến phần xem có phần cuối không? Phần cuối là phần vẫn là về credit policy đúng không? Rồi. Bây giờ thì cô sẽ đặt câu hỏi nhé, và trong thời gian đấy thì các nhóm cũng có thể đặt câu hỏi cho nhóm bạn, và chúng ta còn 5 phút để chúng ta trả lời. Còn 5 phút tất tần tật để Q&A. So my question is, can you tell us the difference between the effective discount and the discount which is nominal when we mention about the credit term? Suppose you got the credit term is 2/10 net 45. So can you explain the difference between the nominal discount and the effective discount? This is my question. And other student, other groups, if you have any questions, please type in the chat box, or you can raise your question. Wow, we got a lot of questions. So do you need 3 minutes to prepare for all that questions?